So we're back here in Cutting 1. We were here a week or two ago just giving our first update out in the field, and there's been a lot of progress since. You can probably see it looks quite different. So the plastic is up and we're down to the 1980s excavation levels, which is fantastic, and it's been a lot of hard work for the students to get to that. So at this point we're starting our archaeological planning. We've taken our photos. It's always the first thing to do before planning, because you take the photographs and the distinctions are nice and clear. Now we're taking a very detailed plan record of what's been exposed, and then we'll start addressing the features a bit further. But there have been a few updates since we were last here. So where Aaron and Daphne are planning, Claire Cotter, when she'd done the 1980s digs, had encountered a 19th century path, which I'm sort of just indicating by the hand tape here, and that is looking quite structural. So we're going to address that further in the next few days and try and see with, in a much more definite way, is it a path or could it even be a wall? Okay, so that's one of the key questions we're going to address in the coming week. But if you follow the line of the path and you come down to the corner, so we're following the line. I'll stay away from their tape, I don't want to intrude in their planning. You can see it joins up with the wall that we talked about in our first update. So we have a broadly north-south wall and we have a broadly east-west wall, and they seem to form a corner at this point. So you can probably make out the string on the ground. We're going to have to put in a small extension to the trench and try and address this corner a little bit more. So that's pretty exciting. We weren't expecting to get new walls, we weren't expecting to get potential corners, so we're certainly going to be doing further work here. And equally, if you follow the wall up this way, or the path, whatever it might be, and we get to this corner, you can see the existing wall that was known in the 1980s, what was called a revetting wall there, also seems to form a potential corner at this point. You can see this might have footing stones, so a foundation put down that has a sand packed behind it and then courses laid up. You can also see quite clearly that the trees have damaged it in places, but as we said last time, we have 4 or 5 courses intact on the other side. So what we're really trying to address is, are all these walls interconnected, and if so, do they form a structure? If they do, it's quite a substantial structure. It's 6.5–7 meters north-south on this axis, and it's anyone's guess what it is east-west. You can see in the surface topography that we have a slight ridge. I'll actually walk over, it might make it a bit more easy to see. We have a slight ridge here. I'm just walking up it, and we have a platform here, and it's absolutely entire speculation at this point, but could these high areas be formed from rubble that's been taken off old buildings from the site? So could we have a structure coming this sort of a way? The second area we'd looked at on the first update was this wall joining with a robber trench in Cutting 2, and we've been further assessing that in the last week or two as well. So we hadn't talked about Cutting 2 much in the first update. That was mainly because Cutting 1 was a couple of days ahead when we first started. It was a bit smaller, it was a bit easier to clean up, but the guys have made really fantastic progress in the last week. So again, the plastic came up late yesterday evening, so we're back onto 1980s excavation levels, and the trowel back, which is a very detailed clean of the surface, is underway. You can see everybody fairly feverishly trailing away. We have a couple of important features in this. If we can scan over to Cutting 1, and I'm walking along the line of the wall we've talked about previously, so a wall coming here, it follows up and it becomes a robber trench, what we call a robber trench, as it enters Cutting 2. And I'm standing on what could be a potential corner here now, then turning at a right angle and running just in front of Christina. Christina, can you wave at the camera so they can see where I'm talking? Okay, so that's Christina. A robber trench, as I always say, the clue's in the title. They're trying to rob something out, and we believe, well, the first excavator in the 1980s, Claire Cotter, believed this may have been dug to rob out foundation stone. So it's a quarrying exercise, it's the recycling of the time. They're taking the stone from a previous structure and they're repurposing it for newer structures. What you're left with is the trench of that activity, but that trench preserves the outline of the original building. So potentially we have evidence for a structure behind me and evidence for another structure going this way. So 2 large structural items or buildings dating from the 13th century. The other key archaeological activity in this, and you can see where, Monica, can you wave at the camera so they see where you're trailing? Thanks. is a large area of burning where Monica is, okay, just down here. That burning also has a couple of post holes placed within it that were again found by Claire Cotter, and the speculation was that could be wooden structures, the earliest structures on the site dating from the 12th century. So we're still at clean-up stage, we're still getting it well cleaned back, but quite a bit is coming up. And where that cluster of people is in the corner, where most people seem to be working, is also the most finds dense rich area on the site. So for whatever reason, a lot of the waste pottery seems to be getting discarded in that zone, and we're going to have to put our thinking caps on and see why it was being placed there and not simply thrown off the cliff, as seems to have happened elsewhere on the site. The last area we're going to go look at is our section through our 12th century embankment, which we've had a small team working on since nearly day one. So we'll go up and have a quick look at that and see how the guys are getting on. So guys, we're here at the 12th century embankment. The one that we've talked about a couple of times was put up in the winter of 1169. And we also mentioned previously that the dig team was split into 3 crews. The main one's been in cutting 1 proper and cutting 2, and a small little A team put up here on the hill, which is Michael, Nicky and Ella. What we're trying to address here is we're trying to step back an original excavation done by Claire Cotter in the 1980s and distinguish the different parts of the bank. Because the bank would have been thrown up in the winter of 1169, but it may have been extended after that point or modified in later centuries. So the guys have been doing a great job. I haven't been doing any of it. They've been doing all the work, so it probably makes much more sense for Ella to talk about it. And they've already done their section drawing, which is a detailed drawing of the face of the different layers we can see. So Ella, I'll leave you to it. I'll get out a shot and leave you chat.
So we first dug through what had fallen off the sides of the bank after Cotter's 1980s excavation, so down in the trench, and it's about a meter wide. And then we drew the face of the western wall, and there are 2 walls, in order to really see the different layers and hope that we could find some sort of difference between the like 19th century, 12th century and 13th century sediments. And then just the other day we started stepping this back about 1.5 meters in order to get a better look at these large stones that had been on top and are no longer there. But a feature that there were very large stones with some mortar between them that wouldn't have ended up there naturally, so we were trying to figure out why those were there. And then once we took those up the other day, we found that the layer that you can see right now is incredibly compact, meaning that there's something pushing down on it for an extended period of time, which can offer a lot of different explanations, but the 3 of us are secretly hoping that it's a wall, or was once a wall. And so this is our, can you see that? Yeah. Yeah, okay. This is our excavation drawing, and here you can see each different layer. So the first one is the topsoil, and then underneath that there's a layer which you can see right here, or right here I guess, and it's F1013, which is just the feature number, and then these are the rocks that would have been there, and right now I'm standing on this section, and over there Nicky and Michael are excavating this section here, and we're hoping to go farther down and start sieving these 2 major sections with the hope that there'll be some sort of find in there, allowing us to date the sediments to some degree.